read a number of books on the Apollo mission when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon. That was the day after my 16th birthday, which is July 19th. And I've heard for years that UFOs, something was seen on the way to the moon, but they didn't want that talked about by the astronauts. And this is exactly what you're talking about with this documentary. And, you know, it's been hard to really verify that. So I'm so glad that you have your guests on tonight talking about this.
All right, well, let's elaborate a little bit more on that. Mike Barrow.
Yeah, well, that's the story that Buzz tells. It's this object that tracked them on the way to the moon and then disappeared on day 2. But, you know, Buzz did talk about that in public. It is on film, and it's in the documentary, Secret Space UFOs, Apollo 1 through 11 documentary, which you can find on iTunes and so on. But, yeah, it's in there, and it's that story is true. And the way he recites it, you know, Buzz is getting older, and we all slip a little bit as we get older, but, you know, he's sharp as a tack when he's recounting these stories, and obviously it made a huge impression on him, and we have no reason to question his integrity about this. So I'm glad that I've got some confirmation. Watch the documentary. So.
What got you so excited about space? I know you've been an engineering fan for 50 years. Why about space and English? And I'm glad you asked. What got you?
Having he asked about that. And he also had mentioned how the astronauts had issues with drinking, divorce, and violence, just kind of indicative of suppressing things or lies or trauma. And I think it was Buzz, possibly, who said that he can't remember the emotion of the flight and the mission because he had such intense training to keep him calm in space so that they didn't have a panic attack in space and die. Sounds like that all was happening, even despite his training. But then he has an interview, or Edgar has an interview where he has this trauma response of having a panic attack and running out at a simple question. And Buzz gets a simple question and has a trauma response and ends up hitting another human being. And they're saying that they have intense training to keep themselves calm in space, but they can't stay calm during an interview. And with Edgar Mitchell, on the flip side, that was the interview where he was emotionally, numbed out. But on the flip side, there was another interview with Walter Link he did where he talked about he was really emotional on the way back, and he had this epiphany, and the exact quote he said, "Perhaps the story of ourselves as told by science was incomplete or flawed." And he went back to Earth and immediately delved into India and Sanskrit and 5,000-year-old description of his experience emotionally called samadhi. And I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that, but it basically, when he came back and went into Graham Hancock type stuff and aliens and stuff. But my question is, if you want to talk about it, as a 25-year engineering consultant, do you have any opinion on the story of Phil Schneider, who was also an engineering consultant and talked about the underground Dulce base and the...
An opinion about it? No, those stories have been around for years, and they make a lot of sense. There was a device called the nuclear submarine, which was basically fairly miniaturized nuclear reactor that heated up this device that basically carved through rock. Kind of like, remember that Star Trek episode, George, with the Hornet? It looked like a sausage piece. Yeah. It's going through rock, right? Way back. And it's kind of the same thing. And it leaves a glass seal on it, and these huge shuttles, and they built these things. I mean, there's pictures of them in the 1970s, and so I think all the stories are very probably true. The problem with so many stories in the UFO lore is that there's not anything except the stories. I lean towards, I had a chance to spend some time with the history of Richard Doty in Manchester last October, and, seeing those guys, they have a lot of stories, but they also have evidence that these things happen. There's supporting evidence. Stuff like the Dulce base, the story's been out there forever. It may have happened. My opinion is that it probably did happen or something like it happened, but it's, they become a thing of myth, George. They become these stories that we repeat over and over again, but we don't know if they're really true or not. But they are pretty scary. I mean, that's a scary story that this alien got out and started vaporizing people. That's the Dulce thing is that's probably true. Because the technology was there to have built all these underground military bases. Absolutely. As we claim land when we get there first. Why didn't we do that with the moon?
Well, personally, I think we did. I think that's what Buzz Aldrin's ceremony was. He took a Masonic apron with him to the moon to perform a ceremony with. He talked about in his biography, both of them, that Neil Armstrong confirmed this in his biography, that they did a little thing with wine and chalices and broke bread and stuff. And this all sounds Christian, but it actually has its roots in ancient Egypt. And, the Freemasons, they're all focused on ancient Egyptian religions. So they did perform. I think they did consecrate the moon as a temple. I think that's what the mission of Apollo 11 really was. And, George, I think that's why there's no pictures of Neil Armstrong on the moon. All the pictures of Apollo 11, they're all Buzz Aldrin. They were all taken by Neil. There's no pictures of Neil Armstrong on the moon, just Buzz Aldrin. And I actually argue that's why Buzz went out second, was so that Neil could photograph it.
Interesting.
first Freemason to walk on the surface of the moon.
Why did Neil stay so silent when he came back?
Well, you know, that's interesting. He's a shy person anyway. He wasn't really a very talkative guy. He wasn't big for the press and all that kind of thing. I don't think he liked the press very much. And, you know, they always show you the footage of the press conference, the official Apollo 11 press conference, and how serious and dour Neil and Buzz and Michael Collins were. And the truth is that not much scared Neil Armstrong at the beginning of it, except talking to the press, because he was always concerned that they would distort what he said into something different, which, you know, a lot of the press really does do that kind of thing. So when I look at that, what I see is these three guys who've done this incredible thing, but who are very nervous, really, about being in front of the press. And again, let's face it, George, we already know they saw a UFO on the way to the moon. I think they were all under pressure not to reveal the truth. So when I look at that, I don't think, oh, well, they faked it and we never went to the moon. I think they went to the moon and they saw some things they're not allowed to talk about, and they're repressing that. And I think that comes from their attitude. The easiest way to keep an NDA if you're Neil Armstrong, you know, is to just never talk to anybody. And that's practically what he did. He had very few interviews, very few things that he did in terms of press after the initial Apollo 11 tour. And even then, he hardly commented. I mean, he was a quiet one. So Collins and Buzz were a lot more evocative when it came to, you know, telling stories and talking about stuff.
We get text and tweets for you, Michael. Tom, what do you have for Mike?
Hey, Michael, Randy in Salt Lake City would like you to talk about heat shields for iron and the dangers that they have when they do come back.
Well, okay, when you're coming back from space, I mean, your speed can be, gosh, anywhere up to about, I think, 17,000 miles an hour when you're returning from translunar space. Because you have to remember that the spacecraft, they would fire their rockets and then they accelerate to like the midpoint where gravity takes over. Well, they accelerate for a little while, but then after the burn, they coast. And coast, George. And then as they come back in towards Earth, their speed increases because the gravitational pull is pulling the spacecraft towards the Earth. So they speed up, and so they, you know, that was the toughest thing I think they had to do. The biggest challenge is how do you make this craft survive these incredible temperatures of thousands of degrees centigrade and Fahrenheit, and they came up with this ablative surface that, you know, like one layer peels off, heat-resistant layer peels off, and then there's another, and then there's another, and the idea is that, you know, you don't peel off all of them. Everybody survives. And, you know, of course, there were Russian missions where the heat shield failed, and they lost the crew. You know,
That was horrible.
there's horrible radio recordings of those things. So it's not an exact science, and I think we're pretty fortunate.
Mike, what's your best website for people to get to?
MikeBarra.blogspot.com. I still got an old blogspot. I looked at doing some other sites, but this is the simplest, easiest way to find me. And, you know, you can just use Google and type in my name. It should be the first or second one that comes up after some page attacking me.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment with Mike Barra and take final phone calls. Those of you on hold, we'll get right to you as we are talking about the space program and the Apollo missions and what they may or may not have seen. His documentary is called Secret Space UFOs, Apollo 1 through 11. Back with more.
Join the Coast to Coast AM Facebook page with thousands of members. It's great for show updates and connecting with other fans. Go to facebook.com/Coast to Coast AM and click the like button.
second Los Angeles Unified School District teacher strike in 1 year. The LAUSD and its teachers union reached a tentative deal on a new labor contract on Tuesday. The contract features a 21% pay bump, 2 fewer students in K-12 academic classes, and more mental health services. The contract, if ratified by teachers union members, would last through 2025. Teachers took part in last month's strike, but service employees like bus drivers, custodians, and cafeteria workers were at the center of that labor dispute. Sonoma County is considering raising taxes to fight climate change. County's Regional Climate Protection Authority may put a tax measure on the November 2024 ballot that would fund climate mitigation and adaptation projects. Sonoma County is looking to achieve a goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2030. And the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors is also ending its local drought emergency after 2 years. Tuesday's vote comes after the region received more than 3 feet of rain since October 1st. That was a quick look at the latest news. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Now, Sacramento traffic.
More work tonight on I-5. We start out in Yolo County with a shutdown of the Dunnigan Rest area. Long-term emergency work. No word on when that is going to reopen. Southbound 5 has reduced lanes from Airport Boulevard to Sacramento River Bridge until 1 a.m. for core drilling. Southbound 5 also sees reduced lanes from just south of Highway 50's Florin Road until 6 for construction activity. Core drilling activity also on northbound I-5 at the 99 separator at the ramp and just south of the Powerline overpass, Airport Boulevard area. Placer County, southbound Highway 49, reduced lanes, 1 lane closed Lone Star Road to Lawrenson Road for utility work until 6 a.m. From the KFBK Traffic Center, traffic on the 10s every 10 minutes, mornings and afternoons, KFBK News Radio.
Now, Sacramento weather.
A little bit chilly tonight, clear to partly cloudy. We're down to 38 to 42, then mostly sunny tomorrow, highs into the upper 60s. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, down to 42 to 46. And sunshine nights for Thursday, I-72 to 76. I'm back with meteorologist John Searick on KFBK Sacramento's News Radio.
Cracked driveway, decaying deck, an overgrown and unusable outdoor space? Let System Pavers destroy it for you. This month, System Pavers will demolish, dig up, and haul away your dated, neglected concrete or asphalt for free. And we'll replace it with the outdoor space of your dreams. Dramatic paver driveways, built-in fire pits, stunning outdoor kitchens, share-worthy patios, and more. For 30 years, System Pavers has helped more than 80,000 homeowners transform their homes into beautiful, durable, and high-quality outdoor remodels, and you can be next. Contact us today to take advantage of our most popular offer. Free demolition and removal, plus get 0% financing options. Get started today by calling System Pavers at 877-PAVE-002 or visit SystemPavers.com to get inspired. That's 877-PAVE-002 or SystemPavers.com. All orders must be placed by April 30th. Financing subject to credit approval. See website for offer and financing details. Contractor's license 661575.
Damage from wildfires is devastating and traumatic. After wildfires, dishonest contractors show up hoping to make a quick buck from your insurance claim. They'll promise anything if they can get you to sign a contract, collect your payment in advance, and ultimately do no work at all. Avoid being the victim of contractor fraud. Get estimates from at least 3 contractors. Check references, and remember, if you didn't request it, reject it.
To report fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB. This is a public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
It matters where you get your news. Stay connected with KFBK News Radio. free from east of the Rockies.